Bryce Eldridge. Let's welcome in Lee Jung-hoo from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. He wears number 65, Landon Root.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I always enjoy talking to you.
Let's welcome in Wade Boggs. Let's bring in Will the Thrill. He's the ace of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Logan, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Good to be on here.
Welcome to Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Giants sweep the LA Dodgers.
Sponsored by Lunardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply the best. Right here on your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR, the sports leader.
And the 0-2, Adames swings and misses, strike three. Got him with a slider low and away. And the game is over. Munoz throws 9 pitches, all strikes. Kind of a fitting way to end this game with the 16th strikeout for Mariners pitching. Seattle takes the rubber match. Final score of the Mariners 6 and the Giants 3.
Welcome into a Sunday edition of the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. Well, it looked good in the beginning when the Giants scored 7 runs and didn't give up 1 run to the Mariners on Friday. But Saturday and Sunday, the Mariners have come back and win the last 2 games to take the series. Today they win 6-3. And you look at a home field advantage, and you look at what the Mariners have done after the win today. They're 50-50. At home at T-Mobile Ballpark, they're 29-21, and on the road, they're 21-29. So if you're talking about a 500 season, you're talking about home field away, that can't be any more equal. Well, the Giants, after the loss today, they're 7-7 for the month of July. They now move to Kansas City for 3 games. You have Trevor McDonald on the hill tomorrow. Tyler Mahle will be on Tuesday, and Landon Root will be on Wednesday before they come home on Thursday for an off day. And then next weekend, the LA Angels come in for 3 games, and the Milwaukee Brewers come in for 3. So that's your next 9-game series, and the Giants just could not get it together today. And when you look at yesterday's game and today, boy, oh boy, the Seattle Mariners bullpen just put a display of arms on, some high velocity. As the Mariners put 7 innings together in these 2 games, the Giants only had 2 hits and 2 walks and 10 strikeouts. The strikeouts were plentiful today after what we saw earlier in the game with Logan Gilbert going in. Boy, he was really throwing the ball good today. He ended up going 6 innings, punching out 10 with 1 walk. They got to him early. The Giants scored early in the first inning when Bryce Eldridge hit the first pitch he saw for a solo home run to center field. Casey Schmidt got a base hit and then stole second base, and Elliot Ramos pushed the ball to right field. The Giants were on the right foot right there with a 2-0 lead. And Robbie Ray, for 3 innings, shut the Mariners down in the 4th inning. A leadoff error by Casey Schmidt. A fly ball to center field pushed over a Rosarena to third base. And then 3 base hits right after that got the Mariners right back in the game in a 2-2 game. The Giants ended up scoring 1 more in the 5th inning on a walk by Adames, a sac bunt by McRae, and Luis Ariz hit a double down the left field line. Before that even happened, from the 1st inning on through the 5th inning, Logan Gilbert shut down the Giants 10 up, 10 down before that walk to Adames. He really pitched well today. He had 6 pitches going, a fastball that was in the high 90s, a slider that was just nasty. It really broke down quick. A changeup, a splitter, a cutter, a curveball. You could throw anything, but it was mainly a fastball, slider, and a changeup mix. He ends up going. He end up getting the win. He's 8-6 on the year. And Munoz, you talk about a closer. This guy is just electric. Got his 17th save today as he punched out 2 in the top of the 9th inning to get that save. The Giants just couldn't muster anything after the 5th inning. A lot of strikeouts, like I said, 16 strikeouts today, the highest amount of strikeouts by the Giants in their 2026 season. A couple bright spots, of course. Bryce Eldridge hitting his 10th home run. And in the 8th inning, got his first stolen base. That's right, Bryce Eldridge is on the hill with a stolen base, and that was the first one in his big league career. And now the Giants go on to Kansas City. Just a disappointing 2 games here. Of course, when you look at Cole Young, the 22-year-old second baseman, hitting that 3-run home run yesterday off Logan Webb. Hit another 2-run home run today in the 7th inning off Adrian Hauser. Adrian Hauser goes 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 2 home runs he gave up. He hasn't pitched in 12 days. He wasn't sharp with the changeup. Everything was up. So the Giants have to turn the page and now look toward Kansas City and see if they can muster a couple wins there and win the series before they come home. But overall, when you're looking at this series, 3 games, a couple real ugly numbers, as we say. Rafael Devers is the big one, 1 for 14 in 3 games with 9 strikeouts. He had 1 home run. That was it for the hit. Casey Schmidt had a tough weekend, too. He was 3 for 13. Ramos 4 for 13. Jung-Hoo Lee 4 for 12. Adames 2 for 12 with 2 home runs and, of course, the grand slam. The numbers on the offensive sides didn't work out in Seattle, and they ended up losing 2 out of 3. So we can talk about this and look into what's going to happen in the Kansas City Royals series moving forward. But a disappointing 2-game losses here in Seattle where yesterday could have been a win, and today they just couldn't get it together against that Seattle Mariner bullpen. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post-Game Show, 415-808 KNBR. Let's talk some Giants baseball, and we'll be right back on KNBR, the sports leader.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
The Giants do have 6 left-handed bats in there, including Eldridge, who drives one out to deep center. Rodriguez back. He's looking up. It is gone. Bryce Eldridge does it again, his second home run of the series, just to the left of straightaway center. And 2 batters in, the Giants lead it 1-0.
Back on Extra Innings on a Sunday with Bill Laskey, a great statistic that was thrown out there. The first time a rookie's had double-digit home runs since my good friend Jack Clark did it in 1977. Very impressive by Bryce Eldridge, hitting the first pitch he saw from Logan Gilbert. Boy, he mashed that ball 407 feet, a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, turned it up, turned it out, and a solo home run. And also got a stolen base. I'm going to continue to throw that out there. I think that's pretty cool. He doesn't have much wheels, but to get one, that's good. And Bryce Eldridge had a high point today with that home run in the first inning. And then, they scored 2 in the first, and Robbie Ray put the 3 zeros on the board, first 3 innings. And then he really got in trouble with just some base hits. And I really believe the Casey Schmidt error was really something that, you get that first out. And what I didn't understand, the ball was thrown over Devers' head, and nobody was covering second base. And Rosie Arena, off the ricochet, Arise picked it up, and he could have thrown him out at second. I don't know where Adames was, or even Casey Schmidt, because he could have covered it, and there was nobody at second, and that's where Rosa Arena ends up get second base. So kind of a mental error about nobody covering second base, and it did haunt him a little bit because a fly ball got him to third, a base hit by Naylor, and then Naylor ended up getting a stolen base and a couple base hits by the 8th and 9th hitter, and Robbie Ray got out of that inning with a couple unearned runs. He was just taxed at that time. He had thrown 24 pitches in the third, 26 in the fourth, and you start thinking about, after 4 innings, he got 80 pitches. So the humidity also up in Seattle, it's tough to throw a pitch up there too, and he just looked like he was exhausted, and he gave up a couple hits in the 5th inning. And Sam Hedges came in, got a nice 5-4-3 double play, and then he got out of it with a fly ball to right field. And Robbie Ray goes 4 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Still a good outing, but I'm sure he wanted to erase that 4th inning when they got back in the game. After the Giants ended up getting 2 in the first, they tied it in the 4th. They exchanged runs in the 5th, and then after that, the Mariners scored with a home run in the 6th and then a 2-run home run by Cole Young in the 7th. And the Giants just couldn't get anything going. Just like yesterday, latter part of the game, they just could not get any offense going. All right, 415-808-KBR. Let's go to Don. He's in San Francisco. Don, how are you on a Sunday afternoon?
Well, Bill, I'm sorry to tell you this. It's getting too disgusting right now. What I'm telling you. I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, totally. I'm right there with you. A very disappointing season. Something we weren't, believing was going to happen, and this team has just gone south instead of gradually going north.
I thought at least would be better than this year. You know what I mean? They're getting worse.
It seems like, Friday I really felt they had a good mojo from that game coming off the All-Star break, had a real nice game, 7-0, and then yesterday Logan Webb giving up that 3-run home run just crippled them. They couldn't come back in that game, and today was the middle innings where the Mariners just added runs, and the Giants had no offense after the 5th inning.
I just hope they could just get a little better to win more games. That's all we can count on right now,
It's tough. They're 42-57. You're talking about 15 games under 500 with 63 more to play. All you can do is try to win series. You try to win games. Try to get these younger players in the mix and seeing what they can do at the big league level. I think that's what everybody's going to start looking at right now, Don.
Okay, Bill. You take care. You have a nice one, okay? I'll talk to you later.
Don, pleasure to listen to you, man. Thanks for calling in. Let's go to Big Sam. He's in Lake Merced. Big Sam, how are you on a Sunday?
Hey, man, I'm making a nice Greek salad. If I know you
got some Greek salad. Hey. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, some tasty. Oh man, it's turning out really good, really good. Something
Good.
to distract you from a disappointing. Bill, 7-0. Landon Root pitches a great game. What happens? Your vibes are up. You're going in and saying, "Hey, I think we can take 2 out of 3. We could take the series," and you end up having I don't want to call it a misfortune, but listening to your callers, I want to believe in this team. I really like God. In this cross around my neck, I want to believe in this team, but I just can't anymore. I know they have players. I'm so happy for Bryce Eldridge. I'm glad they called him up. I'm glad some of the kids are getting to play. But as you said, if you cannot get on a 2 out of 3 mini-series or 3 out of 4, then with 60-plus games left, I just don't see winning 35 or 40 out of those 60. I can't.
And Big Sam, I kind of was right with you on Friday because that excited me, that game. The home run ball, the grand slam, the great pitching. And I was like you. I was kind of on a high. I was like, okay, this is the time to get going here. And a couple callers and a couple people writing on Twitter, Bill, what are you thinking about? This team's dreadful. This team's losers. And I'm like, hold on here. You still got 60-some games to play. Look at the Red Sox. Look at the Phillies. Things could change. And Big Sam, you and I've talked about that this lineup, when you put it on paper, there's no way I would think they're 42-57. But the more we watch, the worse they get. 16 strikeouts today. And you just wonder how much energy and how much life these guys are pushing each other in that clubhouse.
You're more in the know than a lot of us who really, really enjoy you and really you're near and dear to me. I'm going to give you that on a Sunday. You are very near and dear to us and near and dear to me. But
I appreciate that.
Level, to be level and to be civil and diplomatic. You've got to think, Bill, and I'm going to really sincerely and genuinely ask this. What has got to be going through Zach Manassian and Buster Posey? Like, we'll see these next few games against Kansas City. They're in a big slump, and then they come home. If there isn't anything productive in these next 10, 12 games, they're probably like beyond boiling. Like, we're just going to go completely.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Big Sam. There's no doubt, Big Sam, Buster. They're listening to people asking about players, inquiring about players, and most likely they're dripping back and forth with what are you looking for, what kind of prospects are you. This is the trade talks. It's the preliminary. And everybody thinks, oh, just go trade everybody. Well, there's also 29 other teams out there that could trade some of their pieces too. It's not like everybody's coming to the Giants and saying, hey, we want this guy, and 4 or 5 teams are bidding on him. It doesn't work that way. You're hoping that one team does grab a guy and get something for him. The trade deadline is tough. A lot of it is on contracts, a lot about physicals, things like that all have to go into the mix. And then what are you getting in return? What do you want in return? Is it just straight pitching? Is it to bolster your bullpen next year? Maybe get another starter? That's the question I would like to ask Buster. And what are you looking for? If you're trading pieces and you keep hearing Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Robbie Ray, Luis Ariz, what are you looking for to return? That's the question I'd like to ask him. What is the major purpose when you make these trades? What are you trying to make better for your club? Because we don't know, because he's not really telling us, and he has nothing to tell us. That's the business part of the deals. But that's kind of isn't that kind of what you'd like to know too, Big Sam?
You talk about teams trying to turn it around, and you got the tool shed, you got the right tools, but then you don't have that mechanics certificate, so now you can't work on that car. You got all these nice toys and nice tools, but you don't got anything to work. I mean, just to kind of use that analogy, and in retrospect, this team has 60 games left. Can you win 35 out of 60? I don't know.
Well,
really
you and
don't
I have
know.
always looked at the forecast before. You know, we always look at that forecast going, hey, you know, Big Sam, they're looking at these teams. Look at this. Now you got Kansas City. They're 40 and 60. Look at the Angels coming back. They're even worse than Kansas City. But you and I both can't look at each other and say, oh, they're going to win both series because we don't know. This team doesn't give us that light at the end of the tunnel to say, hey, we're coming. We're going to do it. Because after a 7-0 lead, they faked you and me out real well. And Saturday and Sunday, they couldn't even touch a bullpen arm the Mariners threw out there. The Mariners had thrown 7 innings of shutout ball from their bullpen 2 days in a row, and they only got 2 hits and punched out 10 times. That's telling you the offense can't deal with these electric arms coming out of the Mariners bullpen. And to me, the Mariners is pitching. Good starting pitching, good bullpen, and one hell of a closer in Munoz. So that's kind of tells us where the offense needs to get better at, if they can. And that's the big question. Can they compete? We haven't seen it consistently.
Bill, as always, you bring it every time, and I will be completely disappointed in you if we don't actually have an ability to sit down and have an amazing meal. And I'm only down this.
Well, I'm going to come over and have some Greek salad with you right now, pal.
Have an amazing rest of your show. Thank you, Bill.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. Hey, Greek salad sounds good to me right now. I'm 50% Greek. Why not? All right, let's go to Hank. He's in East Bay. Hank, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Sunday. How are you?
I'm great, man. I kind of have a different approach. I think that
All right.
I think the least of our problems is the players on the field and how they're playing. I think that there's a lot of structural, philosophical issues with the ball club. And to be specific, here's my issue. I think if we trade Ramos and Arise, we're set back as a franchise 20 years. Because if you look at every decade, my first game's 89.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the 80s, 90s, 00s, 10s, if you say who are the players of the decade, you can name 4 or 5. A couple Hall of Famers, a few perennial All-Stars.
Sure.
Who the heck do we have in this decade? Nobody.
Well, you got some young players. I can tell you that. You got some young players in like a Bryce Eldridge, a Barracuda, a Casey Schmidt. But that's not really the guys that are going to –
the JP Snows, the Wall of Fame guys.
I understand what you're saying. Sure.
We got no Wall of Famers this decade, and we got kids growing up who don't even understand what they're missing. So, and I think the same thing would have happened if we would have traded Snow and Aurelia and Bernard. It would have set us back 20 years. If we would have traded Will Clark and Robbie Thompson, it would have set us back 20 years. And I say that because, Bill, we were really aggressive in getting rid of players. Talk to the Atlanta Braves. They got our whole team over there. But but we are so lucky that we have players like Arias and Ramos and Schmidt.
So what would you do, Hank? What would you do in the next couple of weeks, Hank? Are you looking to trade anybody? Are you looking to keep this team? What is your thought pattern moving forward then if you want to keep these pieces?
Okay, well, from what I see, it appears that there's financial issues with the front office and the ownership that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. Something about there's because when Sabian left, we were top 5 payroll. Now we're 15, 20 around there. So from my perspective, what I'm hearing from the callers is we want to go into the playoffs. We want to get some divisions, pennants. What I would do is do something like what the Dodgers and Red Sox did, where you're moving big contract for big contracts. So I think what you do to fix the roster is you say, we're not necessarily going to get the player who's going to put us over the top, but we're going to be getting rid of – but basically we take on some contracts that they don't want, and we give away some contracts that we don't want. And
so maybe like a Bo Bichette, right? Bo Bichette from the Mets. They're talking about trading him. He's got a big contract, and maybe they would take a Willie Adames off of you. That's kind of what you're talking about. But then you got a shortstop over there, so maybe they take a Rafael Devers. Is that kind of like a switch like that? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I think that'd be perfect. I think what you want to do is you just want to hold on, pause to Schmidt, Arise, Ramos, because these are guys that are getting $35,000 a game at the stadium. What I'm saying is we should thank our lucky stars that we got players like Arise and Ramos getting $35,000 in the ballpark, and we're lucky as heck. So what we
there's no question for being 15 under, they're averaging close to 25 to 30,000 every game and more. I mean, Giants fans are coming out. There's no question. It's just what's happening on the field, and it has to get better. But trying to make it better, everybody wants to trade everybody. Everybody's like, sell the team, start off fresh. You can't do that with those big contracts. You're stuck with them. And when you signed Adames for so many years, you got Chapman, and they got no trade clauses. You have to really get something for them where they want to go, because they have the last opportunity to say, no, I'm not going anywhere. And what can you do? You can't do anything with them. So when you do big contracts, there really is only one other one, and that's Rafi Devers.
But Bill, look at it like this. This is what people don't understand, is that I started following in '89, and '89, and there was a lot of tough seasons after '89. But you know what we were doing is that you can finish fourth place and you can be building a world-class culture. So what I'm saying is, a lot of the years we had Thompson and Clark and Manwaring and Darren Lewis, we weren't winning, but we were developing a culture. And that's the thing that happened, is that we got all these rule changes. We got the we got the sports economics changing. We kind of got to start from scratch. But the good news is that's a fun time, because you're building you're building your identity, and I think we should embrace that. And
they're good thoughts, Hank. It's really a good thought. We haven't really heard that kind of idea before, but it could work. It's just depending on your front office and what they think of what they have, and Buster's like, hey, the talent is there. It's just the motivation and getting wins and losses disappointing for the whole crowd, the whole team, the whole fan base. And it has been. You play a nice game Friday, and you lose on a home run yesterday, and today just didn't work out. The pitching just dominated the Giants. I see where you're going, but, something has to change. Something in this team has to change. And we're going to find out if he is going to make a couple changes and see if that's going to help. But what you're talking about is exactly what I saw back in the day, too, the culture and how players stayed here. Like you said, the Will Clark era, those were the ones that really strived to make it better, and it did. It happened in a few years. So, Hank, it's a good way to think, and let's see if they think that way. But thank you for the call today. I appreciate it. Let's go to Dwayne. He's in Stockton. Dwayne, you're on an Extra Inning postgame show. How are you doing this afternoon, Dwayne?
I'm doing good, Bill. What's up with the big homie?
Big homie, I thought we were going to win a series, big homie. I thought for sure we were going to take 2 out of 3 out of Seattle. I was chalking a win up yesterday until Webby gave up that home run, but today it was just a dismal part. They just couldn't touch Logan Gilbert, and he's nasty, boy. Dwayne, he's got some top-level shit.
They got a staff. They have a staff. They have a staff that knows their roles. They know what they're doing from day to day.
They do.
You know what I mean?
And bullpen, Dwayne, yeah, that bullpen is electric.
Yeah, and they know when they're coming in. They got 6th inning guy, 7th inning guy, just like the Yankees used to do when they had Mariano. They had roles. It was over if the Yankees were up after the 5th inning. It was over. It was over. It was done because they were going to shut them down.
100%. Same thing when we had the Big Four. When we had the Big Four, you knew it was over once the 6th inning started. I mean, that's what's so dominant about good bullpens, and that's one thing that the Giants did not look at from the very beginning, and it's caught them, and it's showing them that they missed out on that.
It's amazing to me, too, coming from Buster, who handled those staffs. He should know the importance. If anybody should know the importance, it should be him. So it just goes to show that the winning wasn't the focus.
I think what it was, and I've said this, Dwayne, you've heard me say this, you stockpile what you think, but you don't have a plan when it doesn't work. You don't have a second person up, or you don't have a backup plan. If this guy isn't pitching well, the backup plan can pick him up. The Four Horsemen did that all the time. One got in, boom, you had another one right after it. They don't have that in that bullpen, and the word closer I don't even want to talk about, because there's no closer down there with experience, just like what we saw out of Munoz. That guy's nasty.
Yeah, it was ugly watching him do that to us the last 2 games. because he looks like a real closer. He's that dominant guy who you're probably going to lose when he comes in because they close like 95% of the time. At least that's how I remember it. You know, the dominant closer comes in, and you're probably going to lose. You can't be losing to those teams going to the ninth because they have a guy. They got a dude. You know, and I have a question about you today's game, Bill, because I know you know what you're talking about, man. Hedges came in. He threw 5 pitches. So why did he take him out for Hauser? Why didn't he just let Hedges keep pitching?
He just pitched yesterday. I think that was one. He pitched one inning yesterday. Only threw 17 pitches. Hauser didn't throw for 12 days. Between you and me and the listeners, I think Hauser and as well as Hedges, I think they're veteran bullpen arms that maybe somebody's looking at to possibly use in the bullpen. Both of them are veteran pitchers, just like Maley. I think they could have eyes on all 3 of them to pick up a pitcher down in when the trade deadline comes in. No doubt, Sam Hedges is one of them. Who's not going to want him on a left-hander? 6'7". Hauser threw the ball real well going into this game. He had 12 innings out of the bullpen, only giving him a couple runs, but they have him for another year. They signed him to a 2-year deal, so that's going to be a big, big contract again for next year. I think it's about $11 or $12 million. So I think a couple arms that you're seeing out there, just like Robbie Ray, another audition start. You're starting to see Maley a little bit more out there, and those are all pieces of the puzzle that people might be interested in or inquiring about.
Yeah, I think I'm just tired of the whole thing, man, because after Friday, you think that they might finally get that winning streak, kind of like what the Red Sox have done to get back in it, right? And then Saturday we got
It faked me out. It faked me out, Dwayne. Yeah, Dwayne, Friday I was talking like, here we go. We're ready to go. Let's take the series. We're going to go to Kansas City. Here's our winning streak. And boom, and my bubble busted real fast. But I think a lot of Giants fans thought the same way, right, Dwayne?
It keeps happening. It keeps happening. I know. You get a little hope. They might put something together. They're like 0-6 after 3 in a row, so they can't get to 4 in a row. And, all we really need is a winning streak because teams will drop. That's what happens in the second half. Teams come up and other teams drop. And it can happen quick if you win 8 out of 10. But these guys aren't even close to that. The last question I have for you, Bill, man, is the lineup, man. I know this is Captain Obvious, but this is killing me too because I'm the guy that looks at the lineup right away. I'm looking for it to come out.
Every day.
And I got to check 4 or 5 times, and then it finally comes out. That's me. And I look at the paper, bro. I look at the lineup, and we should be bashing. It looks like we have a better team than Seattle. When I compared lineups, I'm like, wait a minute, man. This team looks way better than this team.
Yep. I agree, and I'm so glad that he finally moved Arise to being leadoff. I was a little surprised when Eldridge went to number 2, but I said after I saw him hit the bomb yesterday, had a couple hits, I was like, I like that because now you're going to get 3 or 4 at-bats out of him. And I didn't like Ramos as a leadoff hitter. You and I talked about that, Dwayne. I liked him lower in the lineup. So I was looking like you, and I'm like, okay, they moved Adames to 7. And then the 8th and 9th hitters are really kind of rookies when you look at Gilbert, McRae, Kavanaugh, Susac, which was fine. I thought the lineup was great. I really did. I liked how he made the changes. But, man, they just couldn't hit 16 punch-outs today, Dwayne.
That's too many swing and misses, man. You can't have that. You got to put the ball in play. But you know what? It's been that type of season. So I'm all over Buster for all this, man. I'm going to get back to work, Bill. I just want to call and chop it up with my guy, man. And listen, you made me feel better. So let's see what we can do.
Hey, Dwayne, anytime, buddy. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, Dwayne. Thanks again. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Got a lot of callers up there. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to be right back, and we'll pick up all these calls, and we'll take a quick break. Come back with more right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
The two-strike pitch. Ramos swings. Ground ball right side and through. A base hit. Schmidt got a good jump, rounding third, heading home, and he will score as Wilson's throw comes into second base. Elliot Ramos delivers a two-out RBI single, and the Giants now have a 2-0 lead.
Back on KNBR with Bill Laskey. Elliot Ramos getting a nice base hit in that first inning when the Giants scored 2 runs. A great start right there by the Giants. And when you look at Elliot Ramos, a nice series, 4 for 13, 2 for 5 on Friday, 1 for 4 and 1 for 4 today. A couple strikeouts today. That elevated fastball and that hard breaking ball, he just has a hard time swinging it and putting it in play. But again, you can't just look at that on him. You got to look at a team that struck out 16 times today, and that has to be cleaned up. That's the most strikeouts they've had all year. in a 42-57 record. So, things got to get cleaned up. They got to play better baseball, and I think that's what all Giants fans want to see. And tomorrow it starts right here. First pitch at 4:40, where Trevor McDonald, who threw a great game the other day, he's going against Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha's 5-7 with a 3.7 earned run average. And you say, okay, Bill, hey, the Giants are 42-57. The Kansas City Royals are worse. Well, the Kansas City Royals just took 2 out of 3 against the San Diego Padres, and they're 40-60, and they play good at home just like the Seattle Mariners. So we'll see what this next 3-game series will take on. Monday and Tuesday will be 4:40 starts, and then Wednesday will be an 11:10 afternoon game, and then Thursday the Giants have off, and then a nice 6-game homestand. All right, let's go to Bob. He's in San Francisco. Bob, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Sunday. How are you doing today, Bob?
Oh, hi, Bill. Nice to talk with you.
Pleasure calling you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. I know this has probably been beaten to death, but I came home late yesterday, and I was watching the game on TV when Logan Webb, and it's so easy to be an armchair quarterback. But I pitched a little in high school here in the city. I know not to your level, of course, but something just overwhelmed me in the 7th inning. Like, man, he doesn't have it. He pitched such a beautiful game, and I was just so interested in your take on. Did you kind of get the urge, like, hey, let's get him out of here, right?
I did.
He looked like
I did, and I tell you what I did, Bob. Last night I talked about that a little bit on the post-game show. Hedges was warmed up, the lefty, and I went back into the communication that Tony Vitello and Logan Webb had, and a lot of that was leave your ace in, let your ace take himself out. But at that time, I felt the same way. He had pitched such a glorious game for 6 innings, 70 pitches, 49 for strikes, and then he hits a Rosarena. And he walks a nailer on 4 pitches, and he just lost the touch of the pitch. Everything was just down and away or up and away. He just kind of lost it. And I think that's what you're kind of saying. What happened, and why didn't you take him out? And that's a good question right there.
Because I think it's a shame, because he should have won that game. And I think if we would have taken him out right then, when it just screamed, like, get him out of there. And I think
agree.
we would have won the game. And he would have. It's a shame that he had to not get a win for that game. But on another note,
sometimes let me just throw something at you. Another note, that's what the manager needs to do, is take control. And sometimes I think Tony is hesitant to do that. And that could be for a first-year manager trying to let your players play. But sometimes don't you feel that that's the manager's decision? If he does take you out, you accept it. That's what I did when I played. When the manager came out, I didn't really like when he was taking me out, but you accepted it, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so much fun. As you're saying, even with this bad season, we're getting good crowds, and I don't care. If you're a fan, you're a fan. I'd never pass up a chance to see a ball game. I don't care what the record is. But that's just being a fan. But I did want to make a comment.
Yeah.
It's something that happened last year, I think. I only listen when I'm driving, but this speaks to the importance of what you guys do. There was a guy on that you had, and obviously I thought this guy's had one too many martinis or something, or maybe some other kind of problem. I said, oh, he's going to hang up. Bill's going to hang up on this guy. But and then I taught children with disabilities in public schools, and this guy maybe had some other kind of problem, but you let him speak, and you let him speak his mind, and he finished out his call, and I thought, you know what, that might have really helped that guy's life out a little bit, just to hear him out, and just, seriously. I don't think people understand the sociological import of having, sports, and guys like you in talk show radio and all over the country, but it's an important part of our fabric, I think. I really do.
And don't you feel, Bob, it's important if somebody's going to pick up the call and call me, it's important for me to listen. If you're rambling on, I might close you up and stop you a little bit and interrupt, but I'm stopping you to make a point. But there are some people that are disabilities and call me, and I listen to them. And same thing with kids. I always welcome kids to call me. I had a couple of kids at 10, 11, 12, 13. Hey, I greet them just like you're an adult because most of them are learning the game of baseball, and they want to ask a baseball question. And I have no question about let's talk, right? So I'm pretty much one of a kind by letting people talk longer on phone calls, and I just feel if you're taking time out to call me, I'm going to take out my time to talk to you, and that's what makes talk radio when I get on here on weekends important to me.
Well, I tell you what, I could have sworn you were going to hang up on this guy, but you didn't. I was really impressed. So I just wanted to mention that.
Well, thanks for calling, Bob. I appreciate your call today. It was really good talking to you, but thank you again. Have a nice Sunday. All right, let's go out to Lathrop and talk to my buddy Sergio. Sergio, how are you on a Sunday?
I'm doing good, Bill. More honeydews, a little pain in here, but I'm going to blame this weekend loss on you, okay? Remember when I
You're
said
going to what?
2002? Blame you for this.
You're going to blame me? Sergio, are you blaming me for something now?
Well,
all right.
You kind of chased that, right, Friday? And, I was kind of excited myself, and I said, you know what, stop, because, we know what happens. They win 2 or 3 in a row, and then, bang, they hit the wall. Okay? So,
I was excited Friday. I really was. You probably heard me. I was excited. People are like, hey, Bill, calm down. They just won a game. And, I played it 6 years, and the second half, you get that electric energy with your team. You're traveling to Seattle. Everything went well, and, boy, did I have that balloon pop on me the last 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah, being a Giants fan is torture, so we had to look at it. I mean,
it is, and it's a good torture, and it's a bad torture, right, Sergio? Yeah. It works both ways.
But you know what? That's my team. I love my team, and I'm not calling here to be negative. I'm not going to complain, cry about today's game, but it is what it is. Basically, the way I look at it is, we just don't have the right horses. We have some good pieces, but we just don't have the right a complete team.
Yeah,
so,
the horses aren't driving this team like we thought it was.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you got to look at it. The talent's there, right, Sergio? The talent is here. It's just too many strikeouts, not getting those key hits, runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
And the latter part of the game, when they're losing, it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's no life to their bats. There's no kind of, a couple hits here and maybe we're going to get a run. The last couple of games, man, it's just like there is nothing left in this team to come from behind. And that's been a lot this year.
Yeah, last night in extra innings, we couldn't move the runner-up. Reyes, I was kind of surprised. You know what? He's going to hit the ball in the outfield, move I think it was Costin second base, right? That they put in.
Pinch run, yep.
And said move him up, and then maybe hit another fly ball, and nothing. It was just so much.
That Cole Emerson made a hell of a play on that too, Sergio. That was a hell of a play on that 20-year-old. He was fantastic shortstop. They got a good one. He just can't hit as much, but he'll grow into it. He's only 20, but his defense is pristine.
Yeah. So, man, when he made that play, I just got that feeling that, here we go again. I want to ask you, so I'm scratching my head, why they're just not clicking when they're supposed to, right? On a consistent basis. But, I mean, I'm thinking, who would I keep? I know we definitely need a bullpen like we used to have back in, the championship years. And, good luck with that for right now. But first of all, I would address the bullpen. I don't know if it's now the right time or during the offseason or what they can do.
Well, the only thing, Sergio, is who's going to give up their bullpen arms when they're in a race to get to the wild card or the playoffs. That's what, people have asked me, what are you going to trade? Well, you're not going to go in and try to get a first-team closer. You're not going to find one right now. Nobody's going to give up their closer for a couple players. It's really looking into prospects and seeing if you can get some good live arms, guys that throw in the high 90s. Maybe you can find a couple arms that you can maybe move to the bullpen and help out. But that big closer role is going to be a big question next year, the end of this year, and see what Buster's going to pull out because you need somebody. You need somebody that's just going to go out there lights out like Munoz. That guy he's fabulous what they have in Seattle.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Well, let me ask you, do we have anyone in Sacramento that kind of maybe like a shining light from far away that you can see that, hey, this guy's got potential to be in the,
Well, the only one that we're talking about is Rodriguez, who had Tommy John. He's not going to be back till next year. I mean, that was the guy I think, Randy Rodriguez. I think that's what Buster was looking for when he traded Tyler, Rogers, and Duvall that Rodriguez was just going to come in. He was an all-star, remember? And then you have Perdomo, too, and he had hamstring issues. Those guys both had over 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. It's not really getting a guy that can throw that hard. It's getting somebody with experience that can go out there and shut the door in the 8th or 9th inning. You know, I've always said Eric Miller's got the electric stuff as a left-hander. It's just now maybe he's getting a little more light to throw a little bit more, and I think that's a guy that you could use as a closer. He's still young, but he's still got lights-out stuff. Boy, he threw really well yesterday in that 9th inning where he went 1 inning, punched out 2. That's the guy I would love to see take over that role.
Yeah, I was kind of high on the guy before during the offseason. Then when he just started, then he hit the wall. I don't know. He got injured, right? Or something happened to him? Or
yeah, he had a lower back strain, and he's now throwing a sinker. He's throwing a couple more new pitches, which I love. I love guys that kind of tinker with different pitches and maybe come up with a different grip. And you're looking at what Landon Roop has now, Logan Webb, and even Robbie Ray throwing a 2-seamer. That's to me is improving your skill, and the more you do that, the better you're going to get. And in quality pitches and showing the opposition just another pitch that they get into the back of their head.
Well, as much as I hate to say it, I don't want to get rid of Reyes because we've been looking for a second baseman for a lot of years, right? And now that we have him, he's not a young kid, but he's consistent. He's a good hitter, but I don't know. I mean, the situation that we're in right now.
It's the business side. I think the business side, and Sergio, you're among a lot of Giants fans that want him to be in a Giants uniform for the next few years, and everybody would. But on the business side, he's probably going to catch him more prospects than a Robbie Ray that could be moved. So, you know what? I can't even say where he's going or who wants him because we don't know. We don't know any of it, and all the rumors and all the rumor mills from all the different writers are, St. Louis wants this guy. Yeah, they're guessing just like anything else. So we just have to wait this out. Hopefully the Giants will start playing a little better baseball the next 6 games. I can't say I agree that they could, but they got the Kansas City Royals and the LA Angels, and they both have worse record than the Giants. Maybe we can see a little win streak here.
They just got to click, man. They just got to click somehow. I mean, this same thing over and over. It's gotta end. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, and that balloon keeps getting busted, doesn't it? And we we blow it up, and we think it's going to work, and then boom, that needle hits it. But Sergio, thanks again, my friend. Have a great rest of the Sunday. I appreciate the call. Let's go up to Petaluma and talk to Ed. Ed, you're on an extra inning post-game show. What's going on up in Petaluma, Ed?
Hey, good evening, Bill. I was wondering, did anybody tell you why nobody was at second base yet?
I wish I knew. Nobody was covering. Why?
Okay, so when the ball was hit to Schmidt's left, Adames was running to his right. So he was almost towards the third base
So he
line.
was backing that play up. So Schmidt should have kept moving forward to go to second.
And I venture to guess that he put his head down after he overthrew it and wasn't paying attention. That's just my guess.
Yeah, that's a mental mistake. Those things happen. But I was wondering, why didn't anybody cover second? Arise got that bounce, and he was ready to throw, and nobody was there.
Yeah. So the reason I call this, Bill, this team, I'm pretty much not. It's over for me. But you can still enjoy the game. So
sure.
I was going to call last week. Bill, I had the greatest time. I took my 9-year-old grandson. We sat in the club level.
That's
we
awesome.
actually had 4 fly balls come to our section in 1 inning. He thought this was the greatest thing that ever happened. 2 came really close. And, of course, the grandfather buys him a couple souvenirs, and he smiled the whole game. I go, you know what? Win or lose.
That's baseball.
It kind of exactly. It put perspective on life. It's like, okay, they lost, they won. Actually, they won that night. It was just a great night. Who cares if they lost or won? It's so much more.
Well, and you're growing another generation to love baseball, and that's what grandpas are supposed to do.
Oh, and the funniest thing is these kids, people don't realize how much they emulate the pros. So I'm watching him playing this all-star game. One kid's got a big gold chain. He's got his hair in a ponytail. My grandson's got his hair out the back. I go, are you going to cut that? Hey, Grandpa, you don't understand. That's how the players wear it.
How many sweatbands do they have on their arms? all the sweatbands and all the batting
sweatbands.
gloves and
The sleeves, the sunglasses on the hat. they cock their leg like certain players in the batter's box. But they're kids, so just enjoy the game.
Let me
life.
ask you, Ed. When you were growing up, did you do that in the backyard? I did it. I mean, we tried to have different stances from certain players you watched at. I'm sure you did the same thing.
I grew up playing strikeout,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't do that. We just played strikeout. It seemed like till the sun went down. But the players weren't wearing the gloves and the hats, and you had a wood bat
like
with
that.
no batting glove. I'm 67, so I'm dating myself. But it's interesting going to a sporting goods store when baseball season starts, and everything they buy has to look like the pros.
So when you played strikeout,
Anyway,
did you put the box on the wall, or did you have somebody catching?
Oh no, we had a school across the street with a brick wall, so we just painted the strikeout box against the wall.
That's what I did.
Five and dime store.
Oh yeah.
We buy little rubber balls.
That's the best way.
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore, Ed. I don't see a box anywhere on any walls around here, and I always loved that. We'd do the same thing. We'd play till the sun went down, and maybe we played on some parking lots where the lights came on, and we had lights that, we played as much as you could, and that was the fun part about it.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. We were 10, 12 years old. We would throw maybe a couple hundred pitches a day. Now you go to the Little League game, oh, no, Johnny can't throw more than 40. And then he can't throw for like 4 or 5 more days. But we threw like that every single day. So I don't understand the pitching out.
Well, a lot of it is just total protection, and they're stopping that coach throwing 100 pitches. That's one of the things, because these coaches want to win, and I don't think they worry about the destruction of the kid's arm or his body, because they're looking for that win. They want to get to the tournament. They want to win the tournaments. And if little Johnny's throwing 60, 70 pitches and he's getting people out, go out there again. You feel good? Oh, yeah, I feel good, coach. I think that's all about the protection, and some of these coaches just don't have it in their gut to take them out and put somebody else in.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. If that mentality permeates into the pros, do you think it affects them because there are about 95 pitches that are coming out within 2 or 3 more?
It depends on who's pitching, and you always want to track it, because if you can go to spring training, they track 30 pitches, 40 pitches, they do it until you get to that 70, 80, 90 pitch, and now you're in the middle of July. You should be able to throw 100 to 110 pitches. And Ed, back in my day, we didn't have pitch count. You kept throwing until your arm came down a little bit, or the other team was hitting, and you were backing up third or home. The bullpen was always ready in that 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, but half the time the starters wanted to finish the game. When they gave me a ball, I didn't want the bullpen to come in. I wanted my mindset was to complete the game. That's where the game has changed, and more protection on arms, more money invested in pitchers, and analytics play a lot of part of it. It's really just about the nature of the pitcher, the nature of the player, and that's where the protection really covers everyththing in that.
Because one more thing, I miss seeing 20-game winners. Was it Mickey? Not Mickey Lowe. Who's the guy? Denny McClain playing that 31.
Oh yeah, Denny McClain was the last 30-game winner. You're absolutely right. And I miss the complete games. That's what I miss. I want to see pitchers complete a game, and you just don't see that anymore. But Ed, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Enjoy your grandson. Take him to more games, because Grandpa's the hero there. But thanks for the call, Ed. All right, we're going to take a quick call. We're going to take a quick break. Got a few more calls on hold. Don't go anywhere. We'll finish those calls. Jamie Moyer, I sat down this week. Of course, he's in the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame. He pitched till he was 49 years old. A fantastic interview about pitching. And let me tell you, he never threw a ball over 88, 89 miles an hour. And we're going to discuss that in our interview later in the show. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Postgame Show. We'll be right back to take these calls on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Gilbert delivers, a rise with a line drive over third and a fair ball. And that'll roll into the corner. It's going to give the Giants the lead. Adames around third. He'll score. Arise heading for second. And he is in standing there. A 2-out RBI double. And the Giants go back in front. It's 3-2.
Back on Extra Inning postgame show with Bill Laskey on a Sunday. Giants lose up in Seattle 6-3 earlier today. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Mariners. 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors, both by Casey Schmidt playing third base, and the Giants lose this one 6-3. And Luis Arise struck out in the first inning and the third inning. That's the first time he struck out twice in a game since July 3rd, 2024. Think about that. July 3rd, 2024. That's the last time he struck out twice in one game. Yes, I am right there with you fans. I want to see him in a Giants uniform for a long time, but the business side is something different. So we'll find out what happens to Luis Arraez. He's hitting .325 right now. He's got 122 hits. Beautiful, beautiful hitter right there, professional hitter. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to Newport Beach and talk to Sid. Sid, you're on a Sunday extra inning game. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Transplant Giant fan down here in SoCal, but I haven't followed every game this year, but enough to kind of get a sense of, they've had a bump along the road here for sure. And what I was just going to say was what really has them in a corner, I think, is those big contracts, like you stated, going max on those. And as an organization, you're counting on at least two. If there's four of them, you're counting on at least two of them to come through for you and really have high-performing years and meet expectations. But to have the majority of them not doing that, it really puts you between a rock and a hard place. So, it really comes down to those guys performing. And I think those are things you can't blame on Posey or Vitello or anybody else. It's just those guys underachieving. And when they signed Devers, quite honestly, it really didn't blow my socks off. I just thought, I guess they were kind of desperate. They wanted to get a big name in there. And then to go with no trade clauses, to me, that speaks of desperation. Just at the time of negotiating, they felt like, well, if they want these guys, they got to, through their agent, give that no trade. So those no trades really put them in a corner, too, as we know right now. And so I think what it really comes down to is we know, when they had that run and winning 3 World Series out of 5 years, they had some ragtag bunch of guys that just really overachieved and won those World Series. Yeah, you had Posey, you had Bumgarner, but you had guys like Blanco, Pagan, Pence, Scudero, Panic, Crawford, and Belton, those guys. So I think we just need some of these other guys. Hopefully they get some reps to prove themselves. You got to rise. Don't let him go. And you got, I would say, I'm not sure how Jung-Hoo Lee, like I said, I've been following so closely this year, but if you got some of those young guys on talent-wise that you really feel that, you believe in them, stick with them, and hopefully they can get some guys within the system to start.
Yeah, you got great points, Sid.
Well.
Those are really good points, and you're absolutely right about the no trade clauses because it strapped you on Matt Chapman, who's 4 years, $100 million left with a no trade. And Willie Adames has 5 years left at $125 million. And as you said, and we've stated before, if a trade cannot be accepted unless the player accepts it when you have that no trade clause in your contract, and that's where you're stuck with because you can't do anything with them unless you get to a point where you're going to trade them where they want to go. And I think that's the big issue right there, talking to agents, and the agent talks to the player. You might have a nice trade built, but at the end of the day, the player says no. And those are the things you have to live and die with. But getting Devers, I think, was one of the reasons why Buster Posey wanted kind of a free agent bat. They've been striking out with free agents for so many years. They saw a possibility of getting a left-hand power hitter, and they gave him 7. He's got 7 years at $211 million left that they took from the Boston Red Sox. And you're stuck with him. But there's times when he's hitting real well, and then there's times like on these past 3 games, 1 for 14 with 9 strikeouts, and you got to live with it. But you got those second-tier players like you just talked about that won those World Series, and I think that's where the younger players could fit that role.
Yeah, and I was, I know the farm system's been on the up for the Giants. I think right now I just looked it up, they're ranked like 10th in MLB. Yep. The Brewers are number 1. Yep. Dodgers are right behind them. They got the Pirates and Cardinals ahead of them, so – but, I mean, they're doing better, and I think you just got to hopefully find some guys within since they're strapped financially on these max contracts with a couple of these guys, and hopefully that'll happen. And I know hope is not a strategy, as they say, but, I think they can get some of these guys to step up and play a little better like they all want to do. And if that can happen, things could gel together. The pitching needs to get better collectively as well, and and we'll see.
Well, you also said something there, Sid. You said something in that sentence, Sid. Having these players step up to where they should be. You talk about these big contracts, and you're expecting better play out of them, better leadership, better play on the field, better play in the offense, better play in helping younger players, because that's why you're paying these guys. You're paying these guys to play at their top level, and we haven't seen that. We've hit it the opposite side. We've seen too many strikeouts, too many offers. And I think that's where Buster's strapped in the corner because this is what he put his mind in and his heart and his soul in, and they just aren't playing like he was hoping they would.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying earlier about, it's not really Vitello or Posey, I don't think, because it's down to the players to really start performing. Yeah, the manager can put them in certain situations to help them.
I just think it's difficult. It's just difficult for Vitello to learn the big league game so fast. It's going so fast. He's trying like hell to understand it, know what to do in certain scenarios. And he'll be the first person to say he's screwed up, but he's made some good moves also. But that's a learning curve. But at the same time, did you really want somebody to learn how to manage in the big leagues with this kind of lineup, with this kind of payroll? That's the only question mark that I would bring on that decision.
No, that's a great point. I think you're spot on with that. And they really needed someone probably with a little bit more experience. Nothing against him. I'm sure he's a great guy, great manager to what he can do. But to your point, in that situation, they definitely probably needed like Phillies. They brought in Mattingly. I mean, Mattingly kind of correcting that, getting things right over there. They needed someone with probably a little more experience with these young guys to build them.
I just think the leadership role needs to have a little experience. You got guys that are playing 8, 9, 10 years in the big leagues, and they're looking at a college coach. And nothing like you and I are both saying, nothing against Tony Vitello, but it's a hard job to kind of maneuver that room and say, we believe you. You haven't done anything. You don't even know what city we're going to. You don't even know what hotel we're staying to. What about the ballpark? He's learning each time he goes, which is great. But when you have a payroll like this, that was the only question mark that I would have asked. You have all this money invested in this team, and you don't have a bona fide leader yet. And that's about the only question mark I say on Tony. I like him. I've met him. He's a motivator. He does know the game of baseball. But you go from the college game to the big league game, and that's a big miss sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Well, thank you.
Well, Sid, thanks for the call. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your call, Ted. All right, let's go to Michael. Michael's calling me from China again. Michael, how are you?
Hey, good morning from over here, Bill. How you doing, bud?
Well, last time it was in the afternoon because we had a night show. Now you got me into the evening, and it's morning there, huh?
Yeah, it's morning, about 8:30 here. I think it is in the morning on Monday morning. So, yep, waking up. Yeah, I guess I was real optimistic when I think I called you on Friday, and
we all were.
You guys were. Yeah, I think the last caller took me right to where I'm going. I guess I'm speaking as a coach because that's my life, and I also played. I've lost trust in game management, I guess is what I'm going to say. And I'll start with, we have our ace coming back. Logan's on the hill for the game on Saturday. And I don't think we know how to take the starting pitcher out of the game, our ace out of the game when it needs to be done. Logan's never going to ask out. He never is going to take himself out. But I think you said during this show that Logan lost something, and we're struggling getting a pitcher out of the game. And then we're struggling with bullpen moves. And I guess the thing that really just made me close the door on the game management was we got to extra innings, and we put the tie-breaking runner on second. We were the visiting team, so that run just had to score. There was an open base in front of that runner. No question, you walk that first batter to put the force on at third base. We did not do that. First batter up, lays the bunt down. There was a big talk of what could there have been a place at third or not throw it to third, but we got the out at first. But lo and behold, that run scored to beat us. And, yeah, game management, lineup every day, I'm just to the point. And like you guys were just saying, I think Tony V is a great guy, brings great energy, but trust in a guy with, I guess, no major league experience. He was coaching college baseball, but I'm to the point where I'm saying, man, he's just not getting it done with game management.
And he's got a lot of help, too. That's the other thing, Michael. Ron Washington's sitting right next to him. I just don't know if there's communication with them. Is it Tony all making that decision? And I go back to exactly what you said. Logan Webb struggling in that seventh inning, and Hedges is up. He's ready to come in, and he gets Raley out, and there's 2 outs now and a lefty against lefty. I thought right then and there, take the initiative and go get him and push yourself to make that decision, and he didn't, and it hurt him. And sometimes where that manager's indecisive, it sometimes talks about inexperience. And I think that's what he needs to do better. He needs to pull guys when they need to go and not make a big stink of it. I'm making that decision. I'm the manager. This is what's going to go on. If you don't like it, I have an office. Let's go discuss it. Because that's what happened when I played. You gave him the ball. You didn't say anything. And you discussed it the next day. You didn't discuss it after the game. You went in the next day and said, what were the reasons why you took me out? And that's where communication comes into. And I think that's what could have happened yesterday, and it didn't.
Yeah, I agree. Spot on. You're right. I feel like watching and listening, I feel like he almost doesn't want to upset the leaders, the more experienced guys, the superstars, by taking them out and going with somebody else. And that's true leadership. So I really think we have an issue with that. And, how long do we wait to let him learn? I mean, I think it's crazy to let somebody to learn how to do the job at the major league level. And I can see where some people are losing trust that are playing every day and doing their job every day. So I think we're in a rough spot.
That's the other thing, Michael. I wish I could take a gauge of what the players think, but they'll never tell you. They're never going to, go against them or say, hey, I just don't trust them. They're doing the best they can. And the same thing is, you got Rafael Devers who's played every game. Why don't you just give him a break? Give him a game. Sit him down for one day. I mean, these games in Seattle, they were throwing fastballs right by him. And I just felt maybe he's tired. You punched out 9 times out of 14 at bats. Something's wrong there. Maybe just give him a day off. It's okay. But he's not giving him a day off. He's playing him at first or DHing. You can give some guys a day of rest. It's good for them. And it gives them a mental break also. I know you just had the All-Star break, which is fine. You had 3-4 days off. But when you're playing daily like this, you need to give a guy a minute break. Give him the day off. Maybe pinch hit him. And he didn't do that. If you remember the first month of the season, he had the same 9 guys playing every day. And the guys that were on the bench never even got to pinch hit for a good 3 weeks. And that wasn't good game management right there at all.
I agree with you. I'm having a hard time with his use of the roster. You're spot on. I agree with you, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Michael. Well, you have a good day in China. Is it a work day for you today, Monday?
Yeah, it's a little bit of work. Got to get the girl up and get her to summer school. So, the best thing
Beautiful.
I can tell you, I'm on a flight to San Francisco on Thursday, so I'm excited to be coming home. So,
well, give me a call next weekend. At least I get to talk to you, Michael, in San Francisco now instead of China.
Yes, sir. I'll give you a call, buddy.
All right. Safe travels, Michael. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Hey, let's go to Santa Clara and talk to Chris. Chris, you're on an extra inning post-game show. Giants lose today 6-3. What'd you think of the game today?
Hello?
I'm here, Chris. How are you? Are you there? Chris, all right, let's go to Coach John. Coach John's in Morgan Hill. Coach John, you're on a Sunday edition of Extra Innings. What's going on, Coach John?
Hey, Bill. How you doing today? Thanks so much for taking the call.
Oh, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, so before the break, you had a caller that was asking why we don't let these little kids grow deep into these games. And the rules restrictions on pitching in these little leagues is really meant for long-term player development, both mechanically and mentally. Both are so undercoached at that little league level to begin with. You got to remember that most of the coaches out there are volunteers, moms and dads doing everything
Right.
they can to give them time to the kids and give them the opportunity to get out there. You're super lucky if you've got someone who's got some maybe high school, maybe college level experience. That's rare. And so, you've got to just kind of take it one pitch at a time, one game at a time, let these kids develop. Plus, we want to make sure that these kids aren't just picking a position too early in life. They really got to see the field from every angle, every position, get experience. And as they grow, they develop, as their mechanics are showing they can pitch more. And more importantly, the mental game is what really needs to grow. As a player as well.
And Coach John, the kids know this, right? The kids know they can only go so many innings here, so many pitches there. They understand why that's happening.
So it is. We all, as you know, all these leagues have what's called an outline of play or some sort of rules or restriction guideline. It is up to those coaches to really reinforce that to the kids and explain why that culture is important, why the athletes
first, winning second, mindset is so important. But, like the other caller said, you do have these all-star dads who unfortunately still think they're playing, and they kind of bend the rules a bit or walk into the gray areas and try and overpitch a kid and see if nobody catches it or shades some pitches. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, it does. But, yeah, the reality is these kids with the right coaching, the right culture, they know it's for their protection, both mechanically and mentally. The ones that aren't coached properly, I'm also at the high school level, and when they get to us at the high school level, they are so mentally burned out and mechanically failing. Tommy John's right around the corner. They're pissed off, the umpires showing up umpires. That's exactly what we want to avoid early on.
Let me ask you something, Coach John. Do you like a player playing 12 months of the year? Do you like travel ball through the fall and the winter?
Oh, my gosh, what a great question. You know what? I've been a part of that just through coaching and umpiring. I have kids in baseball, and I'm siding with old school. I'm a guy that grew up in the 80s, so we played seasonal sports. You were more athletic. You were more
I'm so glad you're saying that.
You took a mental break. You had your summer with your family. You got back into school, and then, you either played football or basketball, and then in the summer or in spring, summer, we saw you on the baseball field. And I think it was just mentally, in the long run, a much better approach. There are some.
It was, and you get excited, don't you? You get excited to play baseball in the spring because the sun's coming out. I grew up in Ohio, so I played basketball. Once it got cold, my dad would put my glove away, put a ball in the glove, wrap the ball into the glove, put a belt around it so my pocket was in the glove, and he gave me the basketball and put my high tops on. He goes, "Go play basketball now." And that's the way it was. And I always ask that, and if you listen to some of my interviews with some athletes that played multiple sports. Jamie Moyer's another one. He played golf and basketball and baseball. And we talk about that because it's so important for kids to hear that from superstar players that put the ball down and forgot about baseball for a couple months. And it's a mental game, physical game. You're playing with different teammates, and it's a whole different team concept.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Well said.
Yep. Well, Coach John, thanks for calling in and clear that up. It's always good to learn those things and definitely have listeners understand it too. All right, let's go to Bruce. He's in Oakland. Bruce, you're on with Bill Laskey. How are you today?
Oh, Bill, I'm doing fine, thanks. I hope you're doing well too.
It's always good to talk with a win, but today's been a good conversational day with a lot of good Giants fans and talking baseball, which I love to do on these shows.
All right, good. Well, I'm going to shift gears just a tiny bit. I wanted to go back to that little game of strikeouts that you were talking about a few callers back. And
yeah, please do.
Yeah, because you used to play that game, what you said when you were a kid, and then we used to play it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've talked to people
Lights
from
out.
all different regions who've played that game, all different regions. But I've never talked to anybody who used the kind of ball that we did. And I just want to tell you about what we did. We'd get a tennis ball and wrap it in newspaper and burn the fuzz off. And that's what we would use for strikeouts. Yeah.
Wow.
And
now,
so
once you said tennis ball, that's what we used to do. We used to use a stick handle off a broom. We used to play stickball like that.
Okay. Well, we actually used the bat. Okay. But yeah, the tennis
I
ball
never
we
heard
would
of that
burn
one
the fuzz.
before. Wow.
Well, nobody that I've talked to has, and that's why I wanted to call and see if you had. And I'm not even sure why we did it. We did it because the older kids had done it. That's how they taught us how to do it. So
now, did you use a catcher or did you use the box on the wall? Did you use the box on the wall, Bruce?
Exactly. Throw it against the wall, and you got the strike zone painted on the wall. And it doesn't matter what size you were; it was the same strike zone. So you got to deal with that.
That was the problem of it.
Yeah. Well, and I remember one wall we had where we did draw like a smaller strike zone. If then you had to, negotiate which strike zone is yours. Which strike zone you're going to play on. If it's a tiny kid playing. But
now
yeah,
let me ask you: when you hit that ball, Bruce, did it flake over at all? Because it was on with newspaper over. Did it flake?
No.
That stayed together?
No.
Huh?
You put the newspaper and then you set on fire. You burn the fuzz off.
Okay. Oh, I got you. You burned the fuzz off the tennis ball. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Got you
then,
now. All right.
Then you end up with a very smooth ball, and I don't know. You could. I'm not any kind of pitcher at all. Not any kind of thrower. But you can when you're 8 or 9 or 10, you can spin that thing to make it curve, or screwball at the time, knuckle it. So,
Have you,
then
Bruce?
get a
Have
real
you seen
baseball and
some
you
of
can't
the
do anything.
Bruce? Let me throw this one at you. Have you seen the wiffle ball games they have now? And they have little tournaments. They have wiffle ball stadiums. That's pretty cool too.
I have not. No, I mean I know that exists. I've never paid close attention to that. No. When our kid was little, he played, just regular little league, and they had some kind of soft hard ball. I can't remember what, but yeah. Well, I was just curious. So that remains a mystery that only the kids in Noe Valley did, I guess. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. I'm going to have to look into that. That's something different that I've never heard about. And, man, we played so much strikeout back in the day. Every day. It seemed like every day we had 4 or 6 guys out there playing 3-on-3 games, and a pitcher would throw against the wall. You'd have one on the left field, one on right field, and try to catch anything that could hit.
Yeah, and the way our flat top was set up, it was a 2-person team, I guess, pitcher and an outfielder, and but yeah. So like I said, I've talked to people from all different regions, who played some version of that game, but nobody who ever did that burning the fuzz off the tennis ball thing. So
I'm gonna have to try. I'll have to try that, Bruce. Yeah, I would like to hear if anybody else has done that for sure. I appreciate the call, Bruce.
I would definitely like to hear that too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, take care, Bruce. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go out to San Jose, or is it Sacramento, and talk to the bar fighter who's been waiting to talk to me for a while. What's up, bar fighter?
Prime time.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give a personal gift to all of my bar fighting fans. You can check me out, my greatness, at SJ Bar Fighter on X.
You just keep pumping that out there, and you know who's following you, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey,
Me.
Prime time,
I followed you. I followed you, Bar Fighter. I got you in there.
Yeah, and I got you. I put a picture of your uniform when the Giants had that uni with the big G and the big S.
Back in the day, man. Back in the day. Well, Bar Fighter,
yeah,
man,
prior to that,
we talked on Bar Fighter. We talked on Friday. It was a good game, 7-0. Yesterday, Logan Webb made the wrong pitch, and they lose. And today, they just didn't have enough against the Mariners. What did you think of this 3-game series?
The only consistency with this organization is inconsistency. I mean, it just doesn't plan out well.
Yeah,
That's why I keep on saying prime time, sell, sell, sell. And this is gonna be kind of weird, but I'm gonna do a Bill Clinton. And the Giants have to do triangulation. They have to learn from other organizations.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Bar Fighter. Let me ask you a question. People on Friday said that I blew up the balloon, and I'm thinking that, oh, man, they're going to have a win streak. And that's kind of what all Giants fans thought also. It's not just me. I mean, I had a lot of phone calls that night. We thought the second half was going to go that way. But you say sell, 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 right? That's what you're saying. But what are you going to sell? Are you selling any possibility of any kind of trade? And what do you want back? That's the other question. What are you looking back if you're going to trade Arise, Ramos, Jung-Hoo Lee, and anybody else? But what are you gauging to come back with?
I want developmental talent. I want young developmental talent. I don't want 29 to 30-year-olds that are just playing out their contracts, and they're going to have a nice retirement in the Dominican Republic or anywhere else.
So you want guys like 25 or younger, maybe some good top-line pitchers, a couple prospects that way? That's kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, you're kind of like, and don't get me wrong on this, but you're like the Charlie Rose without the, innuendos about him with your interviews. You're a great interviewer. And that Randy Wynn, Randy Wynn, he's a breath of fresh air in this organization.
Yep.
And
I agree. And Kyle Haynes is another one. You got to look up a couple interviews I did with Kyle Haynes. When they speak, you listen, and they tell you exactly what they're looking for in prospects and how they maneuver. And I just, the conversations I have with them, it's just like listening to somebody that's in charge of the minor leagues, in charge of player development, in charge of knowing who's going where. And that whole slew of movements we just saw at All-Star break, I'm just so excited to see some of these guys get to AAA, AA, to get out of A-ball and AA. Get a battle to them. Get them at the next level and see what they can do.
Hey, Primetime, an interesting tidbit was I used to, San Jose Merc, they used to do a great thing on Sundays. They had everything on the Giants on their back page of the sports page.
I remember that.
Tidbit.
I remember that. They used to have all the minor leagues there, right? They used to have the stats and everybody.
Yeah. And
Sure, I remember that.
Jack Clark in AAA was a third baseman.
Those are great ones back there. How about Jack Clark coming in the news today when Bryce Eldridge hit his 10th home run, the first rookie to have double-digit home runs since Jack Clark did it in 1977. That's a pretty cool stat right there.
Yeah, I love Eldridge, man. He is a foundational figure for this team.
Yep,
I
agree.
I just want them to. All I want them to do is just develop a plan to have just basically a team that will be structurally sound, that can compete and go into the playoffs, and maybe not, the World Series or whatever, but just.
Well, I think also, Barfighter, you need to clean up a couple of things. More walks on the offensive side, more stolen bases when they get on base, better defense. The errors are just countless. Those are some of the things they need to clean up, and that's internally, like you said, a plan. Those are internal things that need to be taught a little bit better.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And you were raised with the whole Robinson thing. He's, like I told you before on the prior call, Frank Robinson used to walk up there to the mound with authority, and that's what Vitello needs to do. Just walk up there. I know he was a collegiate manager and everything, coach, whatever you want to call it, but he needs to walk up there with authority and say, hey, this is it. We are moving to another direction.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And there shouldn't be any setback from any pitcher, because Frank used to say, give me the ball, and if there's a question that we're going to do, like I said earlier, my office will be open tomorrow and we can discuss it. Don't embarrass me on the mound. Don't get upset at me on the mound. And if you do, then there's going to be changes or problems. And that's where you respect the manager. You may not agree with what he's taking you out, but that's the respect you give him. And sometimes I don't think these pitchers have that.
Yeah, what I think is basically they don't see someone that has any, any pro league experience, and Vitello doesn't have that. I'm not saying
he's
that
getting there. I mean, he's trying. There's no doubt he's trying, Barfighter. It's hard to accept, especially with a losing record the way I have it now, and how is he going to change and make a different direction? That's the tough part, Barfighter. And he's talking, he's communicating, he's doing the best he can. But like you said, the experience also comes in the manager's office also.
Yeah, totally agree. Prime time. We'll talk soon then.
Always, my friend. Thanks for calling and thanks for holding on. I appreciate it. All right, coming up next, I sit down with Jamie Moyer. Of course, he pitched till he's 49 years old, pitched 25 years. And it's really a nice pitching conversation where you get to know how to pitch, how to use different pitches. When do you throw it? When do you not throw it? Because Jamie Moyer was one of those guys that didn't have the electric stuff, but he knew how to pitch. Sit back. Jamie Moyer and I talk baseball coming up next right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey.
The game may be over, but we know you wanted to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is Jamie Moyer, 25-year Major League Baseball veteran, along with Brooke knows ball, and boy does she know ball.
That's such a special shout out from the legend himself, Jamie Moyer, and I am so honored to be able to talk about his legendary career. Every once in a while, a player comes along that reminds us what the game was really about. Jamie Moyer never walked onto a mound with the hardest fastball. He walked onto it with something far more powerful: hope. During an era when some of the game's biggest hitters were growing stronger than anyone had ever seen, Jamie Moyer kept showing up, throwing an 82-mile-per-hour fastball. 82! And for 25 seasons, he went to war against lineups filled with sluggers who could change a game with one swing. He didn't overpower them, he outlasted them. He outthought them. He trusted preparation over intimidation, precision over power, and patience over panic. Every season he was told he was too old and he simply threw too slow. Every season people wondered when it would finally end, and every season he found another way to answer them. That is why he pitched until he was 49 years old, not because time stood still, but because he kept refusing to stop evolving. I think that's why Jamie Moyer's story reaches far beyond baseball. That the world will always tell you what you're supposed to be, how hard you're supposed to throw, how fast you're supposed to move, how young you're supposed to be. Jamie Moyer spent an entire career answering all of that with one simple message: this is how I do it. Because sometimes greatness isn't about having the biggest gift. Sometimes it's about honoring the gifts you do have every single day for as long as you're blessed to play. And maybe that's one of the most important things baseball can teach us. We are so lucky to partner with the real Jamie Moyer to tell you this story, so make sure to give him a follow. He just started making pitching tutorial videos for kids, which is just such a lovely way to pass on your knowledge to the next generation, and it just tickles my heart. So if you want your heart tickled too, make sure to give him a follow and say hi from Brooke.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. I'm delighted to bring a guest back on the show. 25 years he pitched in Major League Baseball. He was a World Series champion in 2008 with the Philadelphia Phillies. In 2003, he was an American League All-Star with the Seattle Mariners. He was a two-time 20-game winner. 10 times he had 200 innings or more. And in 2015, the Seattle Mariners inducted into their Hall of Fame. Let's welcome in Jamie Moyer. Jamie, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great. Thanks again for joining me. It's always a pleasure talking pitching with you. And baseball has changed as well as pitching has changed over decades. It's a whole different type of pitching atmosphere at the big league level. When did you start learning how to pitch?
Boy, that's Bill. That's a great question. I say, it's probably still evolving as I watch the game today. But for myself personally, I don't know that there was ever a day, a week, a month, a season where all of a sudden the light. I mean, yeah, there were times when the light went on, but it continually changed. I think as pitching inside. I started to learn that in Double-A baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That was really important, and I think that was something that really allowed me to start to understand a little bit more about pitching. I took a lot of lumps with pitching inside, made a lot of mistakes, but you have to use both sides of the plate is what I learned. It doesn't matter how hard you throw, you have to use both sides of the plate, and you have to try to keep the hitter honest, and that's and you have to change speeds, and today's game, yeah, they're changing speeds, but they're changing speeds from 100 to 98 to 95.
That's so true.
And I can't fathom that because I couldn't throw that way. And I haven't really been around it on the field. So I don't know exactly what's going on in today's game other than what I see. But I know in my time, it was more about location and changing speeds and pitching inside off the plate, moving hitters' feet. and I think that's a little bit of a lost art.
Well, you go back to Pennsylvania days where you grew up. You threw really well at high school. You ended up going to St. John's University. It wasn't a hard throwing Jamie Moyer back there, but you still had good velocity, but it was the breaking ball. The curve ball was just magnificent in your earlier years. Who taught you that curve ball, and how did you learn how to throw it?
Well, I believe my dad taught me to throw the curveball. And that was the pitch that kind of got me into college. You having some fastball location helped, but using a curveball, being able to throw it for strikes. But when I got to college, I learned a changeup, and I think that, and again, did I learn it to the level that I understood it in professional baseball? No, but I started to see the value of changing speeds, especially when you start facing better hitters. And having that ability, and again, I think we all know too, getting ahead is very, very important in a count. So 0-1 versus 1-0 is totally different at bat.
The biggest thing that you kind of said there, Jamie, was control, using your pitches, using a three-pitch mix, and you evolved with more than that as your career went on. But location, learning how to pitch to the outside corner, learning to elevate the fastball, going out of the zone, those things just don't come over one day. You have to go out there and evolve with that. Was that through high school? Was that through college? Was that through minor leagues? Where did that all come from?
I don't think I started to learn that till I got into professional baseball. You start to face hitters more consistently. In high school, you might face a team once a year, so you don't have much of a history. You get into the minor leagues, you start facing guys. You play series. You may play 2 or 3, 4 series over the course of the season. You start to see some tendencies. You get into Major League Baseball. If you're playing in your own division. I know back when I was playing, you're facing a team 19 times.
Correct.
You might get 4 or 5 starts against that same team. Now you're creating a history with some of the hitters you're facing, and you start to learn the guys who will chase pitches off the plate away or down below the zone, or they become better two-strike hitters or guys in scoring position early in the count. They try to drive the ball. You start to learn who can do what and in what situations. And you also have to know the situation of the game. And, early in the game, I feel like I've always felt like, look, you're never looking to make mistakes. But if you make a mistake early in the game, you can recover. But as a starting pitcher, if you start making mistakes in the latter part of the game, 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, it's harder to overcome because you have less time to overcome it.
Jamie Moyer joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show. Defense was a big part of your game. Of course, lasting 25 years, you were really good as a fielding pitcher. 22 errors in your career, 25 years. 5 times you had 5 years where you had no errors. 644 assists, 48 double plays. Things just worked for you as a defensive pitcher. Some of the things you had to learn, some of the things you had to get over to first base being a left-hander, you had to be quick. And some of those things you did, and you did very well.
Well, we spent a lot when coming up. I signed with the Cubs in 1986. We spent a lot of time on what they call PFPs, pitchers fielding practice, covering first base, fielding bunts, knowing the bunt plays, and always when there's a man on first, you're always communicating with your middle infielders on if you get a comebacker, who you're throwing the ball to. So to me, it's that type of precision and those types of things that you work on. And in spring training, we worked on it tirelessly. But you think about it, those are outs that really should be made. It's just like a pop-up, right? When you get a pop-up in the infield, that's like a free throw in basketball. It should be made. So when you can get those, I don't want to call them free outs, but when you can get those easier outs, boy, you take advantage of that because you're trying to get to that 27th out.
Well, Jamie, everybody in their career have little bumps in the road, little hurdles you had to go off of. When you left from the Cubs, you went to Texas, and Tom Grieve came up to you and said, "We don't see you helping us. We don't see you being one of our pitching in the rotation." Some of those words make you strive to work a little harder. How was that for you in Texas?
Definitely. And as a young player, that's a little bit hard to hear.
Sure.
But when as you play the game and you move around the game, you get released, you get traded, you start to get calloused to that, and you build off of momentum or verbiage or whatever it might be. And every day, my belief was every day, regardless of what I did yesterday, today's a new day. And I've got to build off of what I did yesterday. And if I had a poor day, I got to figure out the whys and move forward. And because nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And, you got to learn to play this game, and you got to learn to play it right.
Well, like I said, 25 years pitching, 8 different teams, patience over panic, precision over power. 2 great lines I heard about you, and I think that really emphasizes who you are as a pitcher. When you went on the mound, different things changed as the game progressed. How did you adjust to it?
Well, I don't know, people that play golf, and I kind of relate this to golf. And when you play golf, it's course management,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, as I learned as a player, you got to start to manage. You try to start to manage. First of all, you have to know what kind of stuff you have on each given day. And then, again, knowing the opposing team, who's more susceptible to hitting a ground ball, who's a slower player that doesn't run quite as well, more susceptible to a double play. Can I pitch around a guy to get to the next hitter? Back in the day when the pitchers were hitting, boy, you always wanted to, you work your innings. If that pitcher made the third out, that was great. Or if you could get the 8-hole hitter to make the third out, then you have the pitcher leading off the next inning. Now, they can always pinch hit for him, but still, utilizing that 9-hole was really important, and just trying to manage yourself through the lineup. You got second and third, no outs or 1 out. How do I get out of this inning minimally? If I give up a run, okay, but I don't want to give up a crooked number.
Mm-hmm.
So it's learning how to manage that, and again, utilizing what you have on that given day, utilizing your own defense, and trying to get your defense off the field so they can come in and swing the bat.
We'll take a quick break here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show and bring you more with Jamie Moyer coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show on KNBR. More with Jamie Moyer. Well, Jamie, in 1996, you got traded over to the Seattle Mariners, and everything kind of took place from there. Lou Piniella was the manager. He brought you in the office, said, you're going to be one of my starting pitchers. This is it for you. And it took off. I mean, it really took off well in Seattle. Of course, Dan Wilson being your catcher, somebody that you could rely on, somebody you could talk to. And he really was a staple battery catcher for you in the years you were with Seattle. How important was that for Lou Piniella to tell you that and then strive off of that work with Dan Wilson?
Yeah, you're spot on with that. And I remember that all happening when I walked in the clubhouse door in Milwaukee. I was traded. I was with Boston. I got traded at the trading deadline, met the Mariners in Milwaukee. I want to say I pitched either the next day or 2 days later. But when I walked in, I had a short meeting with Lou Piniella, and he said, "Are you ready to pitch, son?" And I said, "Of course I am." And, it was a good feeling because in Boston, I was doing okay, but didn't have a consistent opportunity to start, which is what I predominantly did throughout my career. And getting this opportunity, another opportunity in Seattle, was a godsend for me. And boy, I felt like this is my time to take advantage of it. So utilizing that and then getting to know Danny was really important. And golly, we went through a lot of catchers in my 10 plus years in Seattle. But Danny was kind of the mainstay. And boy, we really kind of connected, and he took it personal too. He was a very good catcher. He cared about his pitchers. He cared about his pitching staff, and that was his job first and foremost was run the pitcher, take care of the pitchers, and work with them, and then the hitting was secondary for Danny. But he was consistent, and he like I said, he really did care. And it was really fun to work with Danny. Partially, like you said, he was a good game caller. He was a good thrower second base, and he took a lot of pride in calling a good game.
Jamie Moyer, who was inducted into the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame in 2015, when you look at what I said earlier, 2 times a 20-game winner, 10 times 200 innings or more, and there was so many times that you had 180, 190 innings. But you had to go out there with a mindset of, I want to complete the game, something that we don't see in today's game, something they don't prepare to go deeper in the games. When you went out there, adjustments happened. You just said it as the game progressed. But each time you got into that bullpen, your first thought was completing that game. That mindset's changed. Why is it?
Well, I think it's looked upon, if you're trying to throw max effort, that means you're giving max effort on every pitch, whether you're throwing a fastball or even if you're throwing a breaking ball, you're trying to get max spin on it. And I think they deem that as, that's more stress on your body. They're not asking starting pitchers or training starting pitchers to pitch deeper into the game because they're asking every pitcher on the staff is pitching at max effort. And then now they've, look, back in the 80s and 90s, there was a 5-6-man bullpen. Now there's an 8-man bullpen, right? And sometimes they don't have a starter. So they have this guy and they've now deemed the opener. And it's a bullpen guy who pitches 1 or 2 innings. It's a relief appearance to start the game. So again, I feel like people are trying to reinvent the wheel that's been invented for over 100 years. And I think it worked pretty well for 100 plus years, but the way the game has gone, the way society is, we're in a society that wants everything now. And, it's all about, people go to games and they want to see how hard people throw. The radar readings are on a board. Exit velocity, launch angle is on a board on the scoreboard. And that's what people are chasing, and baseball is providing that. So I think that in itself has changed things in a great fashion. And, the youth of today, this is what they see. This is how they're training at young ages, which I think is totally wrong. Because, look, when you're a youthful kid, your growth plates are wide open. Pitching is an unnatural motion. It puts a lot of stress on your elbow and your shoulder. If you don't know how to take care of that, which most kids don't, most kids go to a pitching coach are taught how to pitch, but nobody teaches how to take care of yourself and maintain your strength during the course of a season. And, there's a lot of things that go into that, and recovery is important too, as we're learning. So, the game has changed, and it's changed across the board. And if you don't change with it, it passes you by, which it's done for me. And I really enjoy watching college baseball at this point. I do watch a lot of Major League Baseball, but I enjoy watching the college game. It's a lot of fun. Boy, there's a lot of big, strong, talented kids there as well.
A few more minutes with Jamie Moyer. Jamie, a lot of things you did off the field also, your contributions to charities, Roberto Clemente Award, the Lou Gehrig Award, Branch Rickey Award, honor, courage, and dedication in baseball on and off the field. Things that you took in your own time, things that you did away from the game of baseball. Why was that so important to you and your family?
I learned early in my career, look, we had a, being a professional athlete, you're kind of on a platform, and, you're trying to figure out ways to utilize that platform in a positive way. And when I was in Baltimore, I really started to get involved with giving back in the community and community service, and saw the value of that and felt like I could do more. And we were able to create a foundation at that point in time. And, we created grief camps for children, and also bereavement camps for children.
Wow.
So, a thing that, and we created camps in every major league city. So it was a way to give back to the communities that I played in, a way to give back in baseball, and it set a great example.
Well, the Branch Rickey Award, I love what it says. It says service over self. And that means so much about you because you do that all by yourself and as amongst all other people around you. But when you devise your time from the game, of all the mental side of the game, of learning the game of baseball and then going out there and adjusting every day, your free time was to help others. And that's something about the character of you. Did that start when you were younger? Did that start as the minor leagues came about? When did you really start saying, hey, I want to help people?
You know what? I think it probably started as a professional. Early in my career, you go to schools and read books, and you talk to kids, and you try to inspire kids. And then you go and, maybe go to hospitals and visit people who are sick in the hospital. And you walk away from that and you feel like, wow, either one of those situations, I feel like I can give more. I feel like I can, those people, especially when you're sick in the hospital, things like that, people don't ask to be in those situations. And a lot of times they're very unfortunate situations. So you kind of count your blessings when you have your health. And look, if you realize when you can bring a smile to somebody's face, maybe you can take their mind off of what they're dealing with or going through, or reach out, even help a family member who's struggling with that individual family member who is sick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many ways I think you can give back. You just have to have some creativity and be able to let your guard down and just be yourself. And I felt very comfortable in doing that. So it really became a natural thing for me.
Jamie, as we finish up, 25 years you pitched in the big leagues, and so many different things off the field, the contributions to charities. When you look in that rearview mirror, when you look at a young Jamie Moyer, what pops out at you that says, hey, at that time in my career, at that time in my life, everything clicked, everything started moving the right direction? When was that?
Well, I want to say it was probably it was permeating when I was in Baltimore and Boston, but I think when I went to Seattle, it all kind of fell into place. And from there, I was with an organization that was starting to move forward. We were still in the Kingdom, having some wonderful years, had some talented players there, and it was really the first time in my career when I was that I was around a winning environment on a consistent basis. And boy, what a difference in a winning environment versus a losing environment.
Yeah.
And the momentum that builds in winning, not just with the players, it's with the fan base, it's with the organization. You feel that. And I can go back to 2008, here in Philadelphia, and I'm on a World Series. Well, didn't know we were going to go to the World Series, but end up going to the World Series, and what a special time! And boy, walking around the community in the city of Philadelphia, you could see how us winning really uplifted the city, and it was pretty special. And the same thing in Seattle, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Special times in both of those cities. So, you take that momentum and you run with it because it's not always going to be there.
Jamie, a pleasure to catch up with you again. So many great things in your career as well as off the field, and what a great person you are, and I appreciate your time today.
All right, Bill, take care. Always great talking to you.
All right, Jamie. That was Jamie Moyer on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning postgame show as we close out a Sunday. Giants lose up in Seattle 6-3. 6 runs, 11 hits for the Mariners. 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Giants. A home run by Bryce Eldridge, his 10th. Now the Giants fly to Kansas City, and they play a 3-game series in Kansas City. Extra Inning postgame show will be on next weekend against the Los Angeles Angels. I want to thank my guest today, Jamie Moyer. Of course, if you didn't hear his interview, you can hear it on the All KNBR podcast. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Hart, did a great job, and especially all the callers today. A great round of calls talking baseball and Giants and everything else you want to talk about. So I'll be on next weekend. We'll take it from there. Have a great week, and there'll be more coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
It's another great outing for the righty on your home of San Francisco Giants baseball. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader. Play KNBR on iHeartRadio.